Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com, coming to look at game 107-108 in college football. Little Thursday night ACC action between Syracuse and North Carolina State. The Wolfpack, a 4.5-point favorite in this one, total of 55. Over at BangTheBook.com, a lot of great work being done by our excellent cast of writers. Daily NHL picks from Parker Michaels, college football power ratings from yours truly, NFL power ratings from Danny Vorgs, golf preview of this weekend's Houston Open from James Mazzola. Also, you can find a Houston Open preview right here on our Bang the Book YouTube page from Brian Blessing, who does a lot of video work for us here on the site. We'll have NASCAR coverage for this weekend. Brian's also done a NASCAR video for us here this week, so you can check that out with the 1000bulbs.com 500 at Talladega Super Speedway. We'll have a UFC preview for you this weekend, and we'll have a lot of college football and NFL picks going into the weekend. And I'll be writing up previews for the ALCS and the NLCS once we finally know what those matchups are going to be. So good stuff coming your way at BangTheBook.com here over the course of the week. And always good stuff on Bang the Book Radio as well. Every Monday through Friday, some of the smartest guests in the business join me. We post the segments right here on our Bang the Book YouTube page. And you can also find the shows on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Podbean, TuneIn. The list goes on and on. Basically, anywhere you find podcast content, you're going to find Bang the Book Radio there. All right, so we take a look here at game 107-108. Again, that's Syracuse and NC State down in Raleigh for this one. The line's moving up and the total's going down for this game. Those are always interesting when you see that type of correlation in the market. I guess the expectation here would be that the Syracuse offense, or quite possibly the NC State offense, going to struggle here with both of these teams on ample rest coming into this game. Always interesting to see those early week dynamics, though, with this total coming down from 58 to 55, and the side going from NC State -3 up to as high as NC State -5 out there in the market. But at time of recording here, NC State -4.5, pretty much the consensus number out there in the marketplace. And look, for NC State, it was expected to be a little bit of a tough year, a little bit of a transition year. They, of course, lose Ryan Finley, who wound up being an NFL draft pick. They lost a 1,000-yard rusher. They lost 2 1,000-yard receivers. So the expectation was that there were going to be some growing pains there in Raleigh for Dave Doran's team. And as it turns out, they're on their second starting quarterback of the season here in Bailey Hockman, a Florida State transfer who actually made his debut against Florida State in relief a couple of weeks ago. Was only 21 of 40 in that game. But, again, it was a very tough spot for the kid to come into. The difficult thing here is that NC State's not really moving the football against better caliber teams. 5.2 yards per play against FBS competition. Only 3.6 yards per carry against Florida State and West Virginia, the 2 games that NC State did lose here so far this season. Now, Syracuse, on the other hand, they're not doing much better. They're 103rd in the country in yards per play, which is not at all what we would expect from a Dino Babers-led offense. Less than 5 yards per play against Maryland and Clemson in the 2 games that they've lost here on the season. No running game whatsoever for Syracuse. We have come to expect that from Dino Babers' team. 3.4 yards per carry, 3.3 yards per carry against FBS teams. So it's really been a struggle for both of these teams to move the football. Not at all what we saw last year, not at all what we saw in this meeting last year. A 51-41 game, over 1,100 yards of offense between the 2 teams. We will not be getting that same thing here in this game, I wouldn't think, with the total. They're in the mid-50s and coming down at this point in time. When you look at Tommy DeVito here, the quarterback for Syracuse who took over for Eric Dungy, same thing. He's already been beaten up a little bit. Dungy was never fully healthy. Full marks to him for putting up the numbers that he did in college. But DeVito, with an elbow injury, it clearly flared up in that game against Holy Cross. Again, has had some extra time. And, of course, in general, Syracuse, with the blowout win over Holy Cross, they've essentially had 2 straight bye weeks here to get ready for this game, working a lot of stuff on NC State. The market knows that, though, and this line still moving up. And when you look at DeVito here, 18 sacks already on the season so far. 8 of them were in the loss to Clemson, so there is that. But he's still been sacked 18 times here so far this season. NC State has 18 sacks on the season. Syracuse has 17. So both of those teams top 20 in sacks. We'll talk about that again here in a couple of minutes. But look, it's really hard to know what you're working with these two teams. NC State has beaten East Carolina, Western Carolina, and Ball State. Syracuse has beaten Liberty, Western Michigan, and Holy Cross. When they've played comparable or better competition, both of these teams have lost, and neither one of them has looked all that good in those games. Syracuse blown out by Maryland, as we know, also blown out by Clemson. And then for NC State here, a loss where they were never all that competitive against Florida State. And then also a pretty lopsided loss against West Virginia. West Virginia team going through some growing pains of its own here for this season. So maybe we don't quite know what to expect from these two teams. But my expectation here is that this is an ugly football game. I like the under 55 in this one. Again, obviously coming down already from 58, not seeing too much in terms of the weather forecast. So this is a line move that's a pretty true position, not related to the weather or anything like that. These are two defenses that can create some negative plays. Again, those 35 combined sacks so far in the year. Not a whole lot of explosive plays. Pretty marginal quarterback play. Neither running game all that fantastic here. I think this is going to be a slog. I think a lot of play between the 20s. A lot of field position type stuff. I guess it's going to be a pretty ugly Thursday night game in the ACC. If you like defense, maybe this is the kind of game for you. But I do like the under 55 here more than anything. Now, if I had to take a side in this game, my power ratings do have NC State minus 6.5, although it's very tough with Hockman. It's tough to know what to expect. But again, with this line moving up, maybe some people out there think Hockman a better option than Matthew McKay, who didn't exactly set the world on fire anyway. So if I had to take a side here, I would take NC State. I do like Dave Doran a lot. He gets a lot out of his teams, but under 55, the way to go here in this one. I'm Adam Burke for BangTheBook.com.